Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review, we are looking at the Mafex, The Dark Knight Returns Batman in the black and gray. There is a blue one coming out in the future, so if you're into that sort of thing, you may want to hold off on this for now. It's basically the same figure. Actually, I believe there's two different anyway, black and gray version. A lot of people like this. I happen to really like this one. I know some people don't like the fat Batman aesthetic. I'm personally a big fan of it. I don't know why. I love the little bulldog tank version of Batman that this is. And I have to say, as far as Mafex goes, they have definitely been hit or miss in their journey to where they are now. This one, mostly a hit. It is mostly really good. There are a couple things that aren't great, but this one makes the other Batman that just came out not that long ago that everybody said was great, it makes that one look bad. This figure does a lot really, really well, and we're going to talk about all of it, the good and the few things that are not so good. So let's go ahead and get him off the stand and take a closer look. This guy stands just about 6 3/4 inches tall, which makes him pretty close to, and let's just say 17 centimeters. That's to the top of his little ear nubbins pretty much, but of course you can always adjust their heights a little bit. And I have to say, before we even get into the question of the day, I'm so pleased that they didn't make him exclusively hunched over and squatty. I mean, I know he's drawn that way a lot, but he's also drawn with his chest fully extended a bunch too, so I'm very, very glad that we're not stuck with him being only squashed forward. That's so good. I'm very happy about that. Alright, but now let's go ahead and do the question of the day. This is a very simple one, and we'll get into more complex questions as we go, but I want to ease you guys into this whole question of the day thing. Which do you prefer? Black and gray, black on black, or blue and gray? For Batman, of course. For me personally, blue and gray all the way. Second place would be black and gray. Third place would be black on black. To me, that's just not visually interesting enough. All right, let's go ahead and get into this. This guy is like he jumped right out of the comics. They just did such a good job capturing the right styling for this Batman. It would have been so easy for him to have no neck, or to have, like I said, a very squashed torso, or to have goofy proportions. Yes, it's very stylized, but you still have to follow certain rules. They did that. They pretty much they were firing on all cylinders. They hit this out of the park. One thing that does stand out to me aesthetically is not really a problem, but something that I think they maybe could have just tweaked a tiny bit, and we can get really granular on these figures because they do cost a lot. The belt, it does like to fall down just a little bit, and it makes it look like he's wearing a G-string rather than his Batman undies, but it's not that big of a deal. And once you pose him, that won't be an issue. And even some of you guys may not have that problem at all, but it does like to fall down like that, and then he just looks like he has a little Speedo. So, little tiny thing there. Otherwise, they did a good job. His bat logo, like, everybody defended the other one for having a not well-painted bat logo. Like, oh, it's too hard to do. No, it's not. No, it's not. Lots of companies do it. Even they do it. It's edged up so nicely. It's sculpted in just like before, but it's painted the way it should be painted. So well done. Very, very clean. The paint job along the boots, along the gloves, very, very clean. It's almost like they can do it, and it is possible at this price point. Because look, here it is. Alright, so the face is painted nice. It's edged up very clean along the skin to black transition. The eyes are painted well. The line in the mouth is painted well. Very nicely done. Even the alternate head. I'll talk about accessories in a minute. But even his alternate head, the teeth are painted nicely. Yeah, that black line's probably a little bit heavy in between the teeth, but you're not going to notice that in real life. Only when you zoom in with a camera, so that's fine. So yeah, very, very well done as far as the paint goes. The sculpt is nice. We do have texturing throughout. In some places... In some places, the texturing stands out a little bit more. It's a little muted in some spots, but it is still there, and it looks very good. And it's not overly done. I think that's a key feature. Sometimes you get that real heavy, wrinkly look like we did with the Play Arts version, which I happen to still enjoy, but it didn't look good. This does. All right, so they did a really good job with all of that. Let's talk about the soft goods, though, because the cape is a thing. And the other Batman had a giant cape, which was really just over the top. And this guy has one that is appropriately large. It's not huge, it's just a Batman-sized cape. And I think that is wonderful. Very nicely done as far as the size goes. But I'm sure you've already noticed one thing about this. It is pleated heavily. It looks like he came out of a cupcake tin. Cupcake pan, cupcake. He looks like he's got a cupcake wrapper. Whatever those are called. I couldn't land the joke because I don't know what that's called. I'm not a baker. It's very pleated. Very, very pleated. Very pleated. I want to emphasize this. It is very pleated. It does not look great. In some of the photos on the packaging and in the promo shots, it was smooth and flat and hung nice. On this one, and in some of the photos, it is very pleated, and it's not a soft material. It's a relatively stiff material. So that's going to not do a good job of hanging properly on this guy. To make matters worse, they didn't add any of the extra wiring like they did for the other Batman. He had 2 extra ones back here. This guy only has the 2 up here, which are done wonderfully. You can see they're connected properly, so they work the way they're intended to work. That's wonderful. But you don't have any of the wiring here to hold the cape down. So because of the pleating, because of the stiff material, and because of the lack of wire, you will have some difficulty making this cape look good, which is unfortunate because it is very well done. It's also strange that they use this material because it frays. And there's a reason you use the material they normally do, or this kind of material, like on Super Shredder, not the shiny stuff, but the cloth itself, it doesn't fray, and it hangs nicely. This cupcake shit doesn't work. So that's definitely a bummer. Is it something you'll be able to live with? Probably. Is it as big of a deal as probably the big cape on the other Batman? I don't think so, because as you can see, I just folded over and used the wire a little farther over, and it does help me to hold this part of the cape down, and you still get a decent look at the shoulder. So I just fold that over a little bit like that. It's not like this is rocket science, guys, but in case you hadn't thought of it or don't have the figure yet, you can just use the wire, and it's a little tricky sometimes to get it to go where you want, but it does hold the cape down mostly. Some of it's still gonna do the cupcake thing, but you can get it to look pretty decent. If you're not looking for it, you're not gonna notice the issues. So I think that's okay. And I like the way they did this here, the plastic part of the cowl. It does blend in fairly seamlessly, and it gives them a little bit of that extra meat that having the cloth cape there wouldn't have. Effectively, you just, it would look like a big wad of cloth rather than comic book cloth, and I think that's okay. I like that. So overall, I like the cape, but that pleat and the material definitely isn't ideal. But as you can see, you can make it look good way easier than you could with the last Batman. So I think that's a good thing. So final verdict for his aesthetic, I'm gonna go 9 out of 10. This thing looks exactly like it should. The sculpt is just on point. It's so well done. The musculature is great. The stylization is great. The anatomy is good. It's really just that cape issue. So very, very pleased with this. It looks wonderful. All right, as far as accessories go, it's not the biggest batch of accessories. It's hard to English sometimes. We do have the neutral head and then the angry head. I already showed you that. We have the 2 fist hands that come on them in the package, 2 fist hands that are kind of like gripping hands also, 2 gripping hands which can grip or hold the batarangs in the fingers. Then we have 2 kind of relaxed hands and then 2 opener hands. It's very late, and I am just losing my mind. We also have 8 batarangs for holding in his fingers, and they are actually really nicely detailed and nice and silver and metallic, and they look pretty cool. And that's it for traditional accessories. The only other thing we get is a stand, so not the best array of accessories. I mean, I guess that's probably okay. I wouldn't have minded more. I don't know what specifically, but I don't feel cheated. It just feels like it's not that much compared to other releases. So I'm gonna go 8. It's still plenty of hands and a head and accessories and stuff, but it feels like it could have been more. Like, I don't know. Did he use his rifle in this outfit, or is that the blue? I think that's the blue, right? I don't know, it's been a long time. Anyway, whatever, it's fine. Okay, as for the articulation, I'm so glad, I can't stress this enough. They could have so easily not done a good job because this is short, stocky, fat Batman, but you still get plenty of range. Like, you can pose his head so much more than I thought you were going to be able to. Yes, going down is difficult because he has his giant chin and the cape and everything, but otherwise it looks around very nicely on the ball pegs that they have. Very, very pleased with it. So nice, I love that. For the shoulder, the whole arm moves around. Not a ton because of the way they did the musculature. We have a little bit of the Soda M. Bison situation going on where he's a thick boy and you have to have plastic there. So it does pose some problem, but you can move that ball around. But you can also raise the arm up better than horizontal, so that's very nice. And of course you have your full rotation. The cape is going to be there, but you still have your rotation. Bicep swivel is fine. Double jointed elbow, better than 90 degrees. My elbow does feel a little bit loose right here. Let me know if you guys have loose elbows. This one doesn't have that problem, so maybe it's just mine. Let me know though. I'd like to know so I can deal with that if I have to. And then you have a ball hinge for the wrist, which works just fine, no problem there. For the torso, let's see if I can hold it just up here. It moves around really well. I'm so glad that they didn't just make it scrunched over like that all the time. You can fully extend this. Lean him back, and you've got his full extended torso. Yeah, you can get some gapping because that's the nature of action figures, but side to side works, leaning works. Get a rotation out of that, that's fine. You have another ball peg down here, so using that in conjunction with the top, plenty of range right there, and that's where you're going to get most of your rotation. The belt does connect in the back, by the way, and that's why we have that issue of it falling down. It's held in place like that. Just a little bit crooked. Maybe mine's the only one like that, but if it was just up a touch, it'd be perfect. Because he does have relatively small trunks in this version, and his belt does ride low generally, but just not that low. That's all. For the hips, we have hinged ball pegs. I don't care for the hinges on here because they're not stiff enough, and generally speaking, this isn't a great way to do hips because it throws the pivot point in weird directions, but they work well enough on here. As you can see, when they're all the way up, they sit pretty flush in his diaper. Then when you bring them down, they don't go that low, so they're really not going to affect much other than giving you a little bit more adjustment, so I think that's okay. But you can bring the legs out almost to full on splits, which is really nice. I like that. Also, they could be just a little bit more sturdy. And the part of that is the ball peg, part of that is the hinge in there itself. So hopefully you guys experience a little bit of a tighter joint there. But bringing the legs forward, yeah, the crotch gets in the way a little bit, but you can still get them up far enough, I think. That's okay. I don't know how you could really get around that. He's already got a very narrow crotch. So that's reasonable, I think. That's okay. They don't go back really too far at all. You get your thigh swivel in there, that's fine. Double jointed knee, you get a little bit of a cutout right there, but otherwise it's a really nice joint. It works well, and if you don't want to use that, just lean it up a little tiny bit and hide the joint a little bit more, and you'll be okay. So yeah, that's a fine double jointed knee. That's good. And then for the ankles, we have ball hinges, which go far enough back, really far forward, and of course you have a really good ankle rocker and a really decent-ish toe hinge. It's got a little bit of, oh, it was stiff, now it's loose. It's a crappy toe hinge. All toe hinges suck, don't put them on there. They're almost useless all the time, every time, for everyone, always. As far as I'm concerned, just stop with the toe hinges. So there you go. It's got really good articulation for being short, fat Batman, and it could have been terrible. It's as good as pretty much any of their other figures. They nailed this so hard. That's probably not the right saying. This is so much an example of why the other figures I've reviewed from them have gotten criticized so much. They can do it. If they can give this fat Batman all of this range, all of this sculpt, all of this quality, the paint, everything, they can do it on Wolverine. They can do it on Cyclops. They can do it on normal Batman. They can do it on everything. They did it here. It's almost perfect. They did a great job on this release. It's so well done. So for the articulation, I'm going to rate it. The hips could definitely be tightened up a little bit, not literally in the sense that it could be a little bit better. But otherwise, it's pretty solid. I'm going to go 9. Yeah, 9. I mean, I don't count the toe hinge either way. I don't care. It's not going to hurt anything. It just, they never really help. So yeah, 9. They really did a good job. I can't get over it. Guys, this is great. I was so hesitant about this figure because they've let us down so much recently, but this is it. If you can get around the fat Batman look, if you don't like it, that's going to be a problem for you, but if you can get on board with that, you're going to enjoy this release. It is so well done. One of my favorite figures in a long time. This one also. I can't get this guy off camera. He just looks so damn good on camera. Look at that. Ugh. Anyway, this guy's so much fun. It's a great release. Very, very strong release from them. Final verdict on this. If it wasn't for the cape being a little janky, this is almost perfect. I'm still going to give it a 9. An overall rating of 9. Very well done. This is way better than the last Batman, objectively. I do like Fat Batman, but it's not my favorite version, so it's not like I'm biased towards this. They just happen to do a really, really good job with this release. So good. If you were so inclined to get a custom cape or to make your own custom cape, it probably wouldn't be that hard because we have the plastic one up here holding it down. I'm guessing that would be fairly easy for someone to do. This guy is just aces. This cloth is kind of garbage, but you can live with it if you don't want to do that. And if you do want to do that, you're going to make it almost perfect. So really, really strong release. Definitely pick it up if you are even a little bit inclined. I think you're going to enjoy it. So there you go, guys. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please do give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. And if you haven't subscribed, you probably should. I have new videos up. Stupid Google just started talking to me. It thought I was talking to it. Anyway, if you haven't subscribed, you probably should. I have new videos out almost every single day, and thousands already on the channel. So make sure you come back for all of that. In the meantime, keep collecting.